Okay, dear friends, good evening. How are you? Are you fine? I think you may be in a very comfortable situation. Yesterday, we have done a lot of work on Napoleon Bonaparte, different aspects. Once again, you have to make a revision. In present scenario, you know that the conflict is going on between the monarchy, aristocratic class and church on the one hand, and the middle class on the other. But my friends, situation has slightly changed while coming to the French Revolution. If you will start the story from Enlightenment onwards, you will come to realize that at the era of Enlightenment, there was definitely a conflict between the rising middle class and the monarchy supported by aristocratic class and church. And the same happened in case of American Revolution as well. In American Revolution also, for the first time, the lower class raised its head, but its protest was subdued, and very successfully middle class leadership put the lower class movement under its control. But in case of French Revolution, the lower class became much more articulate. So that's why you know that the French Revolution was turned to be more radical, socially radical, and it was just seeking for more reforms. मतलब आपने महसूस किया होगा फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन में कि अगर अमेरिकन रेवोल्यूशन की तुलना में फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन ज्यादा रेडिकल हुआ. कल ही स्टडी मैंने आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा था एंड यू पीपल हैव रिप्लाइड द क्वेश्चन वेरी यू कैन से इफिशिएंटली. माय क्वेश्चन इज कि व्हाई डिड फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन प्रूव सो सोशली रेडिकल in comparison to the American War of Independence or American Revolution. So obviously, the obvious question is the role of the lower class here. But whenever you have observed the अमेरिकन, देखो मेनली क्या है कि मेनली तुम इकोनॉमिक चेंज देखा, इकोनॉमिक चेंज ने सोशल चेंज लाया, सोशल चेंज ने आइडियोलॉजिकल चेंज लाया. तो आप क्लास कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को देखते हुए चलते रहिए, आपको रिवॉल्यूशन बड़े अच्छे ढंग से समझ में आता रहेगा. आपने क्या देखा कि मिडिल क्लास का पहले राइज हुआ, मिडिल क्लास ने मोनार्की, एरिस्टोक्रेटिक क्लास एंड चर्च को चैलेंज किया, जो इनलाइटेनमेंट के रूप में सरफेस किया. व्हाट वाज इनलाइटेनमेंट? इट वाज अ मिडिल क्लास वर्ल्ड व्यू. Then you have moved towards American Revolution or American War of Independence, and there you came to realize that it was a middle class revolution. It was a revolt against the British monarchy. And you know, so that's why it was the extension of the ideas of the Enlightenment. Suppose someone is going to ask you the question, the American Revolution, after all, the extension of the European question. The European question means the question of Enlightenment. And then after American Revolution, then you come to the French Revolution. तो French Revolution भी American Revolution का एक तरह से एक्सटेंशन लग रहा है. लेकिन जो French Revolution है उसका चाहे आप ज्योग्राफिकल रिच कहिए, आप उसका इंटेंसिटी कहें, आप उसमें होने वाले सोशल चेंज को कहें, so you will come to realize that कि in course of American Revolution you can realize, French Revolution, you can underline the larger and large scale change. तो उसी में मैंने कल तक जो आपको कवर किया उसमें फर्स्ट स्टेज आपने देखा कि उसमें क्या रोल है मिडिल क्लास का, क्या रोल लोअर क्लास का. फिर हमने आपको बताया, जस्ट याद करिए, सेकेंड फेज when the lower class leadership turned to be you can say emerged to be the more articulate, it threw out the middle class leadership and the lower class captured the revolution. It culminated into the so-called reign of terror or Jacobean terror. What happened in course of Jacobean terror, you are clear. In one sense it was good, in other sense it was bad. In one sense it brought positive changes, in another sense it produced the negative changes. अब देखो यहां पर तुमको गौर करना है कि जैसे क्लास इक्वेशन बदल रहा है, रिलेशनशिप बदल रहा है, नेचर ऑफ गवर्नमेंट भी बदल रहा है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म का भी एवोल्यूशन हो रहा है. क्योंकि पहली बार फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन में आप पहली बार कुछ सोशलिस्ट आइडियाज का रिसर्फेसिंग देखते हो. क्यों? जिसको आप जैकोबियन टेरर कहते हो, वो जैकोबियन रूल के समय राइट टू फूड है, राइट टू वर्क है, और बहुत सारे ऐसे राइट्स हैं, उनका अप्रोच क्या है, लेफ्टिस्ट है, जो आर्टिजन्स और पेजेंट्स के पक्ष में है, विशेषकर आर्टिजन्स के पक्ष में है। तो इन वन सेंस कार्ल मार्क्स वाज गोइंग टू बी इंस्पायर्ड बाय, और सोशलिस्टिक आइडियाज ऑफ कार्ल मार्क्स वाज डेफिनेटली इंस्पायर्ड बाय द जैकोबियन एरा ऑफ फ्रेंच एवोल्यूशन। तो यहां पर इस बात को आगे कार्ल मार्क्स इसका स्टडी करेगा, कार्ल मार्क्स इसको डिस्कवर करने की कोशिश करेगा कि भाई जब जैकोबियन टाइम में लोअर क्लास लीडरशिप का एसेंडेंसी हुआ तो लोअर क्लास लीडरशिप अपना डोमिनेंस क्यों नहीं बना कर रख सका। जो कल मैंने आपको बताया था कि चूंकि एक रिफ्ट क्रिएट हो गया पीजेंट क्लास में और आर्टिजन क्लास में। सेकेंड वन थिंग इज कि जब तक इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन नहीं हुआ था तब तक लोअर क्लास इतना ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं हुआ कि मिडिल क्लास को चैलेंज कर सके। अब इतिहास के इस मोड़ पर आप ऑलरेडी पहुंच चुके हो। यू विल ऑब्जर्व लेटर कि इन व्हाट वे एंड टू व्हाट एक्सटेंट इन फ्यूचर there would be the rise of lower class after 1850s as the result of the industrial revolution, and how did this lower class leadership has started to threaten the middle class, and then what would be the new strategy of the middle class, how imperialism was promoted by middle class, imperialism and nationalism to counter Marx, socialism and Marxism। तो इतिहास में बहुत सारे चेंजेज है कि मेरा तो ये सोच के मैं बहुत इंथुजियास्टिक हो रहा हूं कि आप लोग जब इतने सारे चेंजेज को देखोगे और जब आपको बिल्कुल ही आपकी आंखों से वो पर्दा हटेगा चेंजेज का, और आप उस समय से फ्रेंच एवोल्यूशन से लेकर प्रेजेंट एरा तक दुनिया में बदलाव देखोगे, वर्ल्ड को देखोगे, आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म का एवोल्यूशन को देखोगे, आप इंटरनेशनल इकोनॉमी के एवोल्यूशन को देखोगे, आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म के, आप इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस कैसे इवॉल्व कर रहा है धीरे धीरे, और तब आप प्रेजेंट एरा में आओगे तो आपके लिए जनरल स्टडीज कितना इंटरेस्टिंग हो जाएगा, कितना इंस्पायरिंग हो जाएगा। सो आई एम वेटिंग फॉर द अपॉर्चुनिटी। केवल आप लोग इस बात को, आप लोग मेंटली अलर्ट होकर मेरे इस पॉइंट को पकड़ने की कोशिश करना। तो हम लोग 4 स्टेज की बात कर रहे थे। फर्स्ट स्टेज वी हैव कवर्ड, सेकेंड स्टेज वी हैव कवर्ड, थर्ड स्टेज द रूल ऑफ डायरेक्टरी, इवन द फोर्थ स्टेज नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट, or you can say dictatorship era, and then now we are going to discuss about the decline of Napoleon and then certain question, then the topic would be over. So एक क्वेश्चन मिस्टर अंकुर इन 2019 में यूपीएससी में होगा, अमेरिकन एवोल्यूशन और फ्रेंच एवोल्यूशन मिलाकर अगर मैनेज हो सकता है, एक ही क्वेश्चन वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री का है और वो है 2019 का। अगर इस दैट विल बी मैनेज्ड तो तुम कहीं उसको रख लेना सेव करके, और मैं व्हेनेवर आई जस्ट डिमांड यू विल गिव मी। अच्छा, तो एक बात बताइए पहले, मिस्टर अंकुर इन्फॉर्म मी, आई हैव जस्ट कि ये अप टू दिस पॉइंट आर यू ओके? My friends, I am asking the question because 4 stages we have crossed. Are you okay up to this stage? Should I move further while discussing about the decline of Napoleon Bonaparte, the so-called continental system, and what was the basic contradiction within the empire of Napoleon due to the factor the Napoleonic empire finally declined or disintegrated. So I have to discuss this aspect with you. This is the last part of the French Revolution, and today I have already sent you the study material in advance. Mr. Ankur, have they received the material?
Yes.
Have they received? Okay, my friends, I hope you people may have downloaded. You people might have downloaded the study material after French Revolution, and that is in the part 2 would be finished up to this era, means कि whenever you are just going to discuss this aspect, and then you will move to the part 3rd after crossing it. So now I'm just, I hope and I expect you. So okay है?
Yes.
Yes. अब now, why did revolution? Fourth phase, Napoleon dictatorship. How was nationalism encouraged? How did Napoleon link old Europe to new Europe? Means he tried to bring a continental system of Napoleon. Yesterday I discussed this aspect with you. So I have informed you what happened. It happened that in fact Napoleon created an all-European empire. Certain regions were under the, you can say, within the periphery of the French Empire. Certain states were subordinated to the Napoleonic Empire and certain states were the friendly states. For example, Prussia, Austria and Russia were the friendly states. The Westphalia, actually so many states, you can Switzerland, you can say Westphalia, Switzerland, Poland, all the regions were the subordinated states, you know. And France, Croatia, Dalmatia, all were the part of the so-called the French Empire. So Napoleon was having either the direct or the indirect control of the whole of Europe. Actually, some critics even come to believe that the Napoleonic Empire is just reminding us about the old Roman Empire. The Napoleonic Empire was as vast as Roman Empire, you know. But my students, one country, Napoleon, always nourished an ambition to give a defeat to Britain, but Napoleon got persistent failure in this objective. In this objective, he never just, you know, prevailed over Britain, and this was the worst tragedy in the life of Napoleon Bonaparte. Actually, lastly Napoleon decided that it is not possible for us to physically subdue Britain till we are going to destroy its economic empire, because it was having a global empire. So in order to destroy this empire, then, you know, Napoleon Bonaparte divide a plan, that is the continental system. You find the term continental system. So whenever you find the term continental system, you should not get confused. This is a system. This is in one sense the trade warfare, and in trade warfare Napoleon Bonaparte actually he made the first declaration from Berlin, that is called the Berlin Decree, and Berlin means from Prussia, the capital of Prussia. And the second declaration he made from Milan in Italy. And he can say he brought a decree, an order, an ordinance that the British ship cannot anchor on any of the either any of the French port, either on any of the French port or on any port of the friendly country. It means that practically British ship could not make an anchor, could not put its anchor on any port in Europe, because all other ports were either the French ports, the ports of the subordinate country, or the ports of the friendly country. Napoleon, you can say, Britain also reacted, and you can say just reacted, and it has taken a countermeasure. No European ship or the French ship or no European ship which was friendly to France could not anchor on the British port. So in this way, my friends, problem was that Napoleon was having the two objectives. माने नेपोलियन के यहाँ पर दो उद्देश्य था. नेपोलियन ने आदेश जारी कर दिया कि ब्रिटेन का कोई भी जहाज, कोई भी शिप या तो फ्रांस के पोर्ट पर या फ्रांस के किसी फ्रेंडली कंट्री के पोर्ट पर लंगर नहीं डाल सकता. माय स्टूडेंट्स, आप इस बात को अच्छी तरह समझ पा रहे होंगे कि प्रैक्टिकली ब्रिटेन के लिए उसने पूरे यूरोप का पोर्ट को बंद कर दिया. ब्रिटेन ने भी रिएक्ट किया. ब्रिटेन ने भी उसको रिटेलिएट करने के लिए उसकी रिटेलिएटरी मेजर था कि आपका भी जो दोस्त कंट्री है, जो फ्रेंडली कंट्री है, या आप मेरे पोर्ट पर एंकर नहीं डाल सकते. अब हियर नेपोलियन वाज हैविंग टू ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. वन ऑब्जेक्टिव वाज to destroy the British trade or to bring the British trade at a standstill. That was the one objective. Second one objective was to replace the British product from European market by the French product. मतलब वो चाहता आम के आम और गुठलियों के दाम. एक तो ब्रिटिश का ट्रेड, ब्रिटिश का जो जितना भी मर्केंटाइल एक्टिविटीज है वो डिस्ट्रॉय कर जाए, और प्लस मार्केट में हम फ्रेंच प्रोडक्ट को रिप्लेस कर सके ब्रिटिश प्रोडक्ट को फ्रेंच प्रोडक्ट से, तो हमारा मार्केट क्रिएट होगा. वो भी उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव था. बट माय स्टूडेंट, ही कमिटेड अ फैटल मिस्टेक. He did some sort of blunder because the economic base of France was not so strong that France could have or France might have replaced the British products from the market, you know. And one important thing was that Napoleon was definitely mistaken in realizing the fact that Britain was not simply the largest exporter of the European largest exporter to Europe, but he was simultaneously the largest importer of Europe as well. So once the other countries stopped the import of British goods. So even the Britain stopped the import of products from other countries. So it proved a double-edged sword. मतलब it injured Europe as well, and particularly Napoleon. Second one thing was that as France could not provide the products in European market in the same proportion as had been done by Britain earlier. So obviously you can say there was the scarcity of essential goods from the market. It led to inflation, black marketing, smuggling. It created some sort of commotion, and the heavy scarcity of consumer goods from the market enraged the people. So people were quite discontented. मतलब यूरोप में लोगों में बेचैनी आ गई, बाजार में गुड्स नहीं थे, फ्रेंच इकोनॉमी की कैपेसिटी नहीं थी कि उतने प्रोडक्ट का सप्लाई कर पाता जो ब्रिटेन ने किया। दूसरी बात यह है कि नेपोलियन सोच रहा था कि हम ब्रिटिश ट्रेड को ठप कर देंगे, लेकिन ब्रिटिश, अब इसके लिए फ्रांस के पास एक सक्सेसफुल और एक स्ट्रॉन्ग नेवल पावर चाहिए, नेवी चाहिए, जो फ्रांस के पास नहीं था। तो ब्रिटेन, through smuggling and black marketing, Britain was supplying certain products in European market, and particularly Britain was having a base at Malta. So from its Malta base, it continued to distribute the products in European market. So my friends, so in this way you can say that Britain was not so damaged as the other European countries was, you can say, largely damaged due to this continental system. The worst of thing was that due to the scarcity of products, there was the wider popular discontentment, and the people started to revolt. And once the popular discontentment, so even European monarchs benefited from the situation, and European monarchs just encouraged their people to rise against Napoleon. Spain was the first country to organize a revolt against Napoleon, my friends. And when Napoleon sent its army to suppress the popular movement in Spain, but its army was defeated for the first time from the common people. It was a blot on the face of Napoleonic imperialism, क्योंकि अब पॉपुलर डिसकंटेंटमेंट है, और जब पॉपुलर डिसकंटेंटमेंट है तो यूरोपियन मोनार्क्स ने भी चाहा कि यही मौका है, इसमें हम अपनी रोटी सेक लें, और उन्होंने उस पॉपुलर डिसकंटेंटमेंट का लाभ उठाकर वन बाय वन नेपोलियन के अगेंस्ट में रिवोल्ट करना शुरू कर दिया। अब व्हाट हैपेंड, द नेक्स्ट स्टेप वाज दैट कि इन 1812 द रशियन मोनार्क जार अलेक्जेंडर फर्स्ट was bound with Napoleon through a treaty, the Treaty of Tilsit. I remain to be a friendly country. Even Tsar Alexander I just tried to make benefit from the situation, and Tsar Alexander I, breaking the treaty with Napoleon, make a revolt against Napoleon. Up to this period, Napoleon became so headstrong, so arrogant, so, blind, you can say blind-sighted. He could not realize what devastating expedition he had planned at that time. Do you know? He started the so-called Moscow expedition. A Moscow expedition, you can say, अब देखो ये है Britain. I have told you. This is English channel. This is France. This is Germany. अब this is Denmark, etc. We have nothing to do. This is Spain, अब Germany is divided. Prussia is the one strong state in Germany. Otherwise, Germany is divided. Then you can say Spain. Up here you come to know that is Italy. That is Italy, and here you know that is Austria. That is Poland, and after Poland, that is the gigantic size Russia. Gigantic size Russia, Up now, Napoleon started an expedition, and that is from this region itself, and started the expedition to Moscow. That is called the Moscow expedition. And Moscow expedition, it shows how arrogant Napoleon was, and it was a fatal mistake he committed, because once he organized this expedition, तो जार अलेक्जेंडर द फर्स्ट, मतलब उसने जब इस तरह के अभियान, मॉस्को अभियान किया, तो जार अलेक्जेंडर फर्स्ट बहुत चालाक निकला। एक टर्म इंग्लिश में आता है स्कॉच द अर्थ पॉलिसी, दैट इज कॉल्ड स्कॉच द अर्थ पॉलिसी। उसको हिंदी में कहते हैं आत्मघात की नीति, या उसको क्या कहते हैं, सेल्फ डिस्ट्रक्शन की पॉलिसी। मतलब उसमें होता क्या है कि व्हेन एनिमीज आर्मी इज एडवांसिंग, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू फेस द एनिमीज आर्मी इन ए ओपन और पिच्ड बैटल, रेदर यू प्रेफर्स टू टेक अ रिट्रीट, put a poison into water, burn the crops, houses, everything, so that nothing substantial would reach to the hand of the enemy. So how could enemy survive? He will not neither he find grains nor water nor everything for common use, and there is such a large army. How would this army survive? This is called scorch the earth policy. So this, you know, this Tsar Alexander the First, the Russian monarch, followed the same scorch the earth policy against Napoleon. He could not open the book, he didn't appear in a pitched battle. And do you know, Napoleon just carried this Moscow expedition with a large sized army of 6 lakh soldiers, but finally, you know, he could return from Moscow only with 20,000 soldiers. Napoleon's soldiers were completely devastated, completely destroyed there. A large number of soldiers, lakhs and lakhs soldiers, just died of cold, starvation and disease, you know. David Thompson is a very great historian, you know. His book is on the Europe since Napoleon. This is the name of the book, David Thompson. That is just like a textbook on European history, you know, and that is supposed to be the one of the most authentic books ever written on French Revolution and Europe, you know. So David Thompson has made a very apt remark कि according to David Thompson, I will just speak in Hindi as well so that the students from both the mediums would be benefited. This is Britain. Actually, I have a smaller size Britain I have created. This is Britain. And this is Russia, you know. So according to David Thompson, where should I stand? This is Britain. This is Britain. And this is Russia, you know. And this is Britain, you know. You observe? So according to David Thompson, in the two corners or in the two periphery of Europe, there existed two vast empires, you can say two superpowers, not vast, two superpowers. One superpower of the British, another is Russian. And according to David Thompson, if any third power which nourishes the ambition of having dominance on Europe, so this third power requires the active support of at least one of them. But Napoleon antagonized both of them simultaneously, Britain and Russia. At least Napoleon, just you can say, required the support of the one superpower, antagonized both of the two simultaneously. Not simply that, Napoleon went on a devastating expedition to the east, while in west, one superpower, Britain, was conquered. But he went on a devastating expedition of the east. What did he think? Will he take rest, Britain? Or will it make a preparation for a fight to finish against Napoleon? The same happened. And my students, very interesting statement David Thompson has given. The same mistake was committed by Napoleon 130 years, sorry, the same mistake was committed by Hitler after 130 years. Whenever I will teach you the history of Second World War, so Germany under Hitler would commit the same mistake. Britain would remain unconquered, and Hitler would move towards and moved against Russia. And Hitler would also try to capture Moscow, the same mistake he committed. And finally, what happened? Hitler met his end, Napoleon met his end. मतलब हुआ ऐसा कि डेविड थॉमसन का कहना है कि देखो भाई, यूरोप के दो छोरों पर, दो पेरिफेरी पर दो सुपर पावर है। अगर कोई यूरोप का तीसरा पावर है, वो चाहता है कि हम यूरोप को मतलब हम यूरोप पर हमारा डोमिनेंस हो, तो एटलीस्ट उसको वन पावर का सपोर्ट चाहिए होगा, वन सुपर पावर का। लेकिन नेपोलियन ने एक ही साथ दोनों को अपना शत्रु बना लिया। और सबसे बड़ी बात हुई कि नेपोलियन उधर मॉस्को के एक्सपेडिशन पर रशिया के अगेंस्ट में इतना डिवास्टेटिंग एक्सपेडिशन लेके चला गया, जबकि वेस्ट में अभी ब्रिटेन अनकंकर्ड था, ब्रिटेन को जीता नहीं था। तो ब्रिटेन क्या समझ रहा था कि ब्रिटेन फूल माला लेकर उसका स्वागत करेगा, कि जिस समय मॉस्को अभियान से थका हारा नेपोलियन लौटा, ब्रिटेन ने तब तक फोर्थ कोलिशन बना लिया था। दैट वाज द फोर्थ कोलिशन। ब्रिटेन पहले से उसके स्वागत की तैयारी यूरोप में कर चुका था। द tired Napoleon when returned to Europe. In the meantime, the fourth coalition was waiting for him, and there started a devastating war between the two. And do you know, this was a fight to finish. And finally, you can say for the first time, after winning the 40 wars, Napoleon was defeated in 1813 in the Battle of Leipzig, or Leipzig, L-E-I-P. Leipzig, the Battle of Leipzig. So Napoleon, for the first time, he was defeated in the Battle of Leipzig in 1813. And in this battle, when he was defeated, so for the first time, Napoleon tasted the defeat, because he was always in habit of winning the war. And after this defeat, you know, then the Allied powers, this fourth coalition, and this fourth coalition, which was being led by Britain at that time. So still this fourth coalition gave a very lenient terms to Napoleon. Napoleon was told to return to its old border, because in the meantime, Napoleon, through conquering new regions, had already expanded the French border. So according to this fourth expedition didn't try to demand any compensation from Napoleon, not any, you can say, indemnity, penalty, compensation, whatever. But simply France was told to return to its old border and submit the extra region it had conquered from others. And Napoleon was just dethroned, he would no more remain to be the emperor of France. Rather, he was sent to Elba Island, but not as a prisoner. But on Elba Island, he was given bodyguards, some soldiers as well. And it is an independent island where the Napoleon had to live like a king. But he was not allowed to rule in France. The most lenient terms ever given to a defeated party, which the fourth expedition gave to Napoleon. And in 1813, Napoleon was just sent to Elba Island in 1814, and in the meantime, 1814, the European powers gathered at the capital of Austria, Vienna, and the so-called Vienna Congress started. Today, I have provided to the study material on the Congress of Vienna. पहली बार नेपोलियन लिप्जिग के बैटल में हारा, और लिप्जिग के बैटल में जब नेपोलियन 1813 में हारा, तो आपको जानकर आश्चर्य होगा, फिर भी एलाइड पावर्स ने उसको बहुत ही लेनियन टर्म दिए। कहा कि देखो, हम आपसे कोई भूभाग नहीं ले रहे, आपने जिस रीजन को जीता है और अपने बाउंड्री को एक्सपेंड किया है, आप अपने पुराने बाउंड्री पर लौट जाइए, बस सिंपल, और मैं आपसे कुछ नहीं चाहता हूं। और फिर नेपोलियन को एल्बा आइलैंड पर एक रूलर की तरह रूल करने भेज दिया। और इधर फ्रांस में तो कहा कि फ्रांस का रूलर कौन हुआ, तो अब मैं उसका बताता हूं। हु बिकेम द रूलर ऑफ फ्रांस? द Louis XVI, who was hanged to death by the revolutionary, you people may recall, and he was from which dynasty? Are you recalling? Just I am testing you. So please, you people have to make a response to my question. What was the name of the dynasty of Louis XVI, who was destroyed by revolution? What was the name of the dynasty of Louis XVI? It is my question. My students, be fast. Answer my question quickly, so that I will be confident you people are mentally alert.
Bourbon dynasty.
Bourbon dynasty. Bourbon dynasty, you people have just noticed it. Very good, very good. So let this class be communicative. So that's why time to time I myself prefer to ask you the question. So that was from Bourbon dynasty, So Louis XVI was already dead, but his younger brother, he was restored on the throne after Napoleon in the name of Louis XVIII. It was restoration just of the old dynasty. And the Congress of Vienna, the European powers gathered at the Congress of Vienna. That was Vienna was the capital of Austria. It was called the Congress, means Conference of Vienna. And there the rearrangement of Europe had to be, you can say, made, because because Napoleon had already devastated, disfigured the map of Europe. Some regions were taken from here, some was there, some rulers were replaced. So what would be the arrangement of the future Europe? So for making a strong arrangement of Europe, the Congress of Vienna convened in 1814, and the Allied powers were now took a sigh of relief after departure of Napoleon from France. But to their frustration, to their despair, Napoleon once again returned from Elba. Actually, Napoleon had tasted such a vast power during his lifetime. How could he be satisfied with simply with this, just royal imprisonment, at the Elba Island? So Napoleon returned to France and he started to gather his army. Louis XVIII, when Napoleon was so popular, he from Elba Island, he entered into France. So Louis XVIII just fled while leaving his throne vacant. For Napoleon, he fled away, and then while fleeing from France, he reached to Vienna, informed the congressmen, what are you people are doing? Napoleon has once again returned to France. So all the, head of the states who were just gathering at the Congress of Vienna, they started to rushing to their own countries quickly so that they could have to organize the army, because Napoleon has returned. So it was a larger signal to them was a devastating war had to take place, because the return of Napoleon was a danger to the whole of Europe. So that's why, but this fourth coalition once again gathered, and this time the commander was Duke of Wellington. Duke of Wellington was the British commander. My friends, whenever I have taught you modern history, you people have already finished the modern history. I have just made you familiar with Lord Wellesley. So the younger brother of Lord Wellesley was Arthur Wellesley. The younger brother of Lord Wellesley was Arthur Wellesley. So Arthur Wellesley here in India, he fought Second Anglo-Maratha War, and he destroyed the power of Marathas in India. Same Arthur Wellesley, later he was, took a new title in Britain, that was Duke of Wellington, and later he even became the British Prime Minister. And Duke of Wellington defeated Napoleon finally in the Battle of Waterloo, and then he was imprisoned, and this time the European powers could not take a chance. So that's why he was imprisoned, and while in the iron cage, and iron chain, he was put into an iron chain, and then he was sent just like a prisoner to St. Helena, and he languished there as a prisoner for 6 long years. And in 1815 he was sent to St. Helena, and in 1821 he finally expired, he died. So my students, in this way the story of Napoleon was finished, but legacy of French Revolution was not finished. The Europe could not be put back again, and the world has advanced a lot. And now you have reached up to French Revolution, my friends. You have to manifest in what way the whole Europe was transformed in course of the revolution. अब लगता है जैसे कोई ड्रामा का अंत हुआ. नेपोलियन वाटरलू के बैटल में हार गया. उसको हराने वाला कोई और नहीं, ड्यूक ऑफ वेलिंगटन था, ब्रिटिश कमांडर, जिसने फोर्थ कोलिशन को लीड किया था. और जो ड्यूक ऑफ वेलिंगटन था वो पुराना आर्थर वेलेस्ली था, जो लॉर्ड वेलेस्ली का छोटा भाई था, जो इंडिया में मराठा वॉर लड़ा था, मराठा के पावर को सप्रेस किया था. और इस तरह से ड्यूक ऑफ वेलिंगटन ने 1815 में इस कहानी को, स्टोरी उसी के हाथों समाप्त हुआ. नेपोलियन जब डिफीट हुआ तो उसको सेंट हेलेना में अब भेज दिया गया प्रिजनर के रूप में, लोहे की जंजीरों में बांध के, ताकि फिर कभी वो भागने की कोशिश ना करे. और 1821 में नेपोलियन का डेथ हो गया. अब मैं 1-2 बड़ा अच्छे और स्टैंडर्ड वहां पर चीजें रखी है, तो अब मैं उसके सहारे आपको बताता हूं ताकि आपको फॉलो करना है. देखो, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी आर गोइंग टू डील विद दिस टॉपिक कि रीजन बिहाइंड द कॉलेज ऑफ नेपोलियनिक एम्पायर। देखो मैं स्टूडेंट्स, अब तुम लोग तो यू पीपल हैव डेवलप्ड you can say a critical sense and you have developed a critical thinking. So what appears to be superficial, इधर हमने कहा कि ऐसे हुआ, नेपोलियन ने उधर मारा, यह बैटल लड़ा, लिपजिग का बैटल हार गया, फिर वो एल्वा आइलैंड पर गया और सेंट हेलेना, तो ये सब स्टोरी है और इस तरह का स्टोरी पार्ट होता है। तो मैं स्टूडेंट्स, मैं आपको बताऊं कि बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे होते हैं, इस स्टोरी पार्ट को हिस्ट्री समझ लेते हो, समझ लेते यही हिस्ट्री, यहाँ ठीक है नेपोलियन वहां गया, वहां हमारा 40 यूज लड़ा, 40 वॉर्स लड़ा, फिर यहाँ एल्वा में गया, फिर वहां से सेंट हेलेना में गया, काम फिनिश हो गया। सो फॉर देम दिस बैटल्स, दीज आर व्हाट, दैट इज हिस्ट्री। बट माय स्टूडेंट, नो, एक्चुअली द चेंजेस आर गोइंग ऑन। सो व्हाट वाज द बेसिक लैकुना in Napoleonic model? Why did Napoleon, who had once ruled the whole of Europe, and why did Napoleon lost the, you can say, days during his up to 1815? What was the basic contradiction in his empire? So actually I just try to view all these things critically. तो मैं आपको यहाँ पर बताता हूँ one by one। आप देखिए, reason behind the collapse of Napoleonic empire. Napoleon created one of the largest empires in Europe, but right from the very beginning, this empire had continued to face some basic contradictions. So due to the contradictions of Napoleon's imperialism and the strategic mistakes committed by him led to the decline of his empire. अब उसका मिस्टेक क्या था, उस पर ऑब्जर्व करिए। कॉन्ट्राडिक्शंस ऑफ नेपोलियनिक इंपेरियलिज्म, मतलब उसमें कुछ बेसिक कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन था। कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन पहला क्या है? The major contradiction was the incompatibility between the noble ideas. noble, आप noble की जगह lofty भी लिख सकते हैं, ये भी एक टर्म है, lofty। lofty का मतलब होता है उच्च, बढ़िया, मतलब उच्च आदर्श। lofty ideas of revolution and the reality of Napoleonic empire. In other words, whereas revolution professed the noble ideas and lofty ideas of liberty, equality and fraternity, while outside of France, Napoleon ruthlessly followed the imperialistic policies. Earlier, Napoleon was welcomed by European people as a liberator, but very soon in the light of noble ideas or the lofty ideas, in the light of higher ideals of the revolution, the imperialistic character of his rule was exposed. Obviously, the people turned against him and his empire in Europe was shaken. अब देखो बेसिक कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन क्या है। My students, here I am just making you clear through certain examples. अब suppose you are professing high ideals, but you are behaving in a very mean and in very you can say the savvy manner. So this contradiction would be highlighted quickly. Ab Napoleon was, just appeared in Europe as the symbol of revolution, symbol of liberty, equality and fraternity. So European people expected a lot and they welcomed Napoleon as a liberator. But when Napoleon, after conquering the region, in spite of helping the people, Napoleon started to exploit their resources. So very soon the people realized the basic contradiction between the higher ideals of the revolution, liberty, equality and fraternity and reality of Napoleonic empire. कि अरे भाई ये तो लिबरेटर नहीं है, ये तो प्लंडरर है, ये तो हमारे रिसोर्सेस को लूट रहा है। मतलब आप यही समझिए कि आप स्वयं या मैं स्वयं स्मोक करता हूं, अगर मान लीजिए मैं करता नहीं हूं, आई एम डोंट टेक इट अदरवाइज, आई एम गिविंग द एग्जांपल, आई एम नॉट ए स्मोकर, लेकिन सपोज करिए कि मैं स्मोकर हूं और आप लोगों को एक बहुत बड़ा आइडियाज दे रहा हूं कि सिगरेट स्मोकिंग इज इंजरियस टू हेल्थ, तो एक कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन तो आपको खुद नजर आएगा कि सर तो खुद ही सिगरेट स्मोक कर रहे हैं और दूसरे को उपदेश दे रहे हैं। तो वही नेपोलियन का हुआ, लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी और फ्रैटर्निटी का आप उपदेश दे रहे हो और आप यूरोप को लूट रहे हो, तो यूरोपीय लोग तो समझ जाएंगे इस चालाकी को, और वही हुआ। अंत में नेपोलियन को यूरोपीय लोगों ने समझ लिया कि भाई रेवोल्यूशन का आइडियल्स जो हो, लेकिन ये है इंपीरियलिस्टिक। मतलब आप इसको ऐसे समझिए कि आप अगर रुई के घोड़े पर, सपोज यू आर राइडिंग अ कॉटन हॉर्स व्हाइल टेकिंग द फायर इनटू योर हैंड, सो समटाइम sometime a fire would catch up this cotton horse and your cotton horse will simply burn to ashes. The same happened in case of Napoleon. उसका जो एम्पायर की रियलिटी थी उसको एक तरह से चैलेंज उसके फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन के आइडियल से ही मिल रहा था और नेपोलियन इस कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन को ब्रिज अप नहीं कर पाया. माय स्टूडेंट्स, कैन आई एक्सपेक्ट दैट यू आर क्लियर? मिस्टर अंकुर, माय स्टूडेंट्स आर क्लियर और नॉट? गिव मी द हिंट, प्लीज गिव मी द हिंट. Okay, hai? So that is the first contradiction. Then I am going to deal with other sorts of contradiction. One of the major factors behind the military success of France against Europe was military conscription or the concept of citizens' army. My students, I have told you earlier that it was in the era of Jacobean terror. In the era of Jacobean terror, there was a military officer, a military general. His name was Carnot. He introduced the military conscription. Conscription means compulsory military service. So France could create a grand army of 13 lakh soldiers. At that time, there was a fashion of 1 lakh soldiers, 1 lakh, half lakh soldiers, maximum 2 lakh soldiers. So through creating a citizens' army, France could break the chain. And France could create a very vast, the large army, very gigantic army. That is the Grand Army of France. When the coalitions were formed by European countries, so even after their collective military strength, the French strength might have superseded. The combined army of France used to outnumber, the total army of France used to outnumber the combined army of European coalition. So this was one of the major factors behind the success of Napoleon Bonaparte. But you might have heard a proverb, खरबूजे को देखकर ही खरबूजा रंग पकड़ता है. So even other European countries started to create a vast army of 5 lakh soldiers, 7 lakh soldiers. So gradually you can say that they also introduced the so-called military conscription or the citizens or the common a large army or military conscription. So what was the specialty of Napoleon and France? So this specialty, France lost this specialty in front of its rivals. मतलब कि पहले फ्रांस की सफलता का कारण था कि उन्होंने जो अपनी कंपल्सरी मिलिट्री सर्विस लागू की थी तो एक बहुत बड़े आर्मी को क्रिएट किया, ग्रैंड आर्मी ऑफ फ्रांस को. अब उन सब की जो बाकी जो कोलिशंस थे उसके पूरे सोल्जर्स को मिलाकर ही फ्रांस का सोल्जर्स ज्यादा होता. अब धीरे धीरे उन्होंने भी ये तरीका सीख लिया तो फ्रांस का जो पहले इतने बड़े सोल्जर्स की स्पेशलिटी थी वो समाप्त हो गई. तो ये एक सेकेंड वन फैक्टर है. And then I'm just moving to the third one factor, What is the third one factor? A strategic mistake. A strategic mistake in the continental system. It proved a double-edged sword. I have already discussed with you that Napoleon introduced the continental system to destroy Britain or to damage Britain, but it was equally damaged because it created the popular discontentment against Napoleonic Empire. So I have already discussed this aspect. Fourth, Moscow expedition. In Moscow expedition, I have just quoted David Thompson. Napoleon definitely took a very unwise decision, because it went on such a devastating expedition in the east, while in west, another superpower, Britain, was still unconquered. So it was a very strategic mistake on the part of Napoleon Bonaparte. So that his point is over. Basic contradiction under Napoleonic Empire. And now there are certain questions. French Revolution was the harbinger of democracy in Europe. Critically examine the statement. अब देखो, जब critically examine होता है So you have to write the statement, the merit, demerit, because this is the argumentative question. Critically examine, discuss. These are the argumentative question. Explain, analyze, throw light on. All are the hypothetical. All are creating hypothetical question. If you have to make an assessment of pros and cons both simultaneously, so that is definitely going to be a big challenge for you, because here you have to make an assessment of the merits and demerits. Okay. Now just observe here. French Revolution proved a greater landmark in the history of France and Europe. It brought a momentous change in the nature of government and statecraft and relationship between the state and society. But in course of the revolution, to what extent the gap between promises and fulfillment could be bridged needs deep scrutiny. मतलब पहले अच्छाई से हमने शुरू किया और ये आपका थीसिस लाइन हुआ। थीसिस लाइन में यह कहा गया कि देखिए, जैसे ये हिस्ट्री ऑफ फ्रांस और यूरोप में बहुत बड़ी बात थी, घटना थी, इसने बहुत बड़े बड़े परिवर्तन लाए। इसने राज्य और समाज के बीच संबंधों को भी बदला। पहली बार तो पीपुल्स का पार्टिसिपेशन हुआ मूवमेंट में, आप देख रहे हो, इट वाज द पॉपुलर पार्टिसिपेशन इन मूवमेंट, इट वाज वेरी न्यू थिंग, क्योंकि इससे पहले लोग मूवमेंट में नहीं जाते थे। मतलब ये जो पहले पॉलिटिक्स था वो केवल चुने हुए एजुकेटेड फ्यू के लिए था, अब तो पब्लिक पॉलिटिक्स में आ गया था। मॉब ऑफ पेरिस, आर यू रिकॉलिंग? सो कॉमन पीपुल ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स में आ गया, तो स्टेट और सोसाइटी के तो रिलेशनशिप को फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन ने बदल दिया, तो वही कहा गया। लेकिन फिर भी इसमें जो प्रोमिसेस थे और जो फुलफिलमेंट हुआ, उस प्रोमिसेस और फुलफिलमेंट के बीच फिर भी एक गैप बना रहा। A gap remained there between promises and fulfillment. The revolution started with the famous slogan, liberty, equality and fraternity. Feudalism was abolished and then appeared the Declaration of Rights of Men and Citizens, which was ideologically inspired by Rousseau's concept of commonwealth. देखो यहाँ पर चूंकि मुझे देना पड़ा है तो मैंने तो पैराग्राफ में दे दिया है, लेकिन आप लोगों को सजेस्ट करूंगा कि आप लोग तोड़ तोड़ के डॉट डॉट बना के एक एक करके डालना, ताकि एग्जामिनर के लिए ज्यादा कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव हो, मतलब वो पढ़ सके ठीक से। एंड Rights of Men and Citizens, which was ideologically inspired by Rousseau's concept of commonwealth. The buck does not stop here. मतलब कहानी यहीं समाप्त नहीं हुई, but up to September 1892, monarchy was uprooted and France became a republic. मतलब क्या क्या पॉजिटिव चेंजेस हुआ उसकी बात हम कर रहे हैं पहले। Very soon French Revolution was converted into an all-European revolution when Napoleon's conquest gave a serious jolt to old order in Europe. जब जो नेपोलियंस का जो फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का जो कन्वर्टेड इनटू एन ऑल यूरोपियन रेवोल्यूशन में तब्दील कर गया, और नेपोलियन जो कॉन्क्वेस्ट है उसने सिस्टम को एक बहुत बड़ा झटका दिया। बट देयर इज अनदर साइड ऑफ पिक्चर एज वेल। ग्रेजुअली रेवोल्यूशन डाइवर्टेड फ्रॉम इट्स मेन कोर्स। अंडर जैकोबियन रूल द रेवोल्यूशन टर्न टू बी ब्लडी एंड वायलेंट। अंडर जो जैकोबियन रूल है वो रेवोल्यूशन ब्लडी एंड वायलेंट हो गया। आफ्टर दैट नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट, मतलब पैराग्राफ चेंज है, आफ्टर दैट यहां से चेंज कर दीजिए। आफ्टर दैट नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट टैक्टफुली डाइवर्टेड रेवोल्यूशन फ्रॉम द स्लोगन ऑफ लिबर्टी एंड इक्वलिटी एंड मूव्ड इट टुवर्ड्स मिलिट्री कॉन्क्वेस्ट एंड इंपेरियलिज्म। अब धीरे धीरे नेपोलियन उसको क्या किया कि लिबर्टी इक्वलिटी से अलग करके उसको मिलिट्री कॉन्क्वेस्ट और इंपेरियलिज्म की तरफ ले गया। आफ्टर नेपोलियन द कांग्रेस ऑफ वियना ट्राई टू अंडू द चेंजेस। अभी कांग्रेस ऑफ वियना से आप लोग परिचित नहीं हुए, मैं आगे कांग्रेस ऑफ वियना पढ़ाने वाला हूं, which had earlier been made by the revolution. So a gap appeared between the promise and performance. मतलब जो पीछे उसने प्रॉमिस किया रेवोल्यूशन और बाद में नेपोलियन तक कहा कि रेवोल्यूशन के कैरेक्टर में चेंज हो गया, वो हुआ फुलफिलमेंट। तो जो प्रॉमिस और फुलफिलमेंट है उसके बीच एक डीप गैप बना रहा, ये आपको बताया जा रहा है कि गैप रिमेन देयर। And on this basis, we find that for revolution, objective of democratization remain to be a distant dream. मतलब जो हम डेमोक्रेटाइजेशन की बात करते हैं वो एक डिस्टेंट ड्रीम बना रहा, दैट इज नॉट रियलिटी। but still we can give some credit to this revolution for launching a process which was full of future potentialities. लेकिन फिर भी हमने जो लास्ट में जो सेंटेंस दिया कंक्लूजन का, वो थोड़ा कंसोलेशन के लिए दे दिया कि ठीक है भाई, गैप तो बना रहा, लेकिन चलिए मेरा लास्ट लाइन है, बट स्टिल वी कैन गिव सम credit to this revolution for launching a process which was full of future पोटेंशियलिटी. चलिए, भले ही इसने डेमोक्रेटाइज नहीं किया, लेकिन डेमोक्रेटाइजेशन के डायरेक्शन में एक मेजर स्टेप तो था. तो एटलीस्ट इतना क्रेडिट तो हम देंगे कि इसने डेमोक्रेटाइजेशन के फील्ड में कुछ मेजर स्टेप लिया. सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन एंड इट्स लेगेसी. ये पार्ट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसको ध्यान में रखना आप लोग. सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन एंड इट्स लेगेसी. The French Revolution brought immediate changes in France and Europe, but in the long term, it changed the perspective of the whole world. मतलब ये आपका एक इंट्रोडक्शन में दे रहा है कि देखो, फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन है वो इमीडिएट चेंजेस फ्रांस में और यूरोप में लाया, लेकिन एक तरह से अगर देखा जाए तो इन लॉन्ग टर्म में पूरी दुनिया को ही चेंज कर दिया. इट प्रोमोटेड लिबरल आइडियोलॉजी, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव गवर्नमेंट. ये तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव गवर्नमेंट पहली बार इस तरह का, मैंने अमेरिका के बाद फर्स्ट यूएसए देन फ्रांस. द डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ राइट्स ऑफ मैन एंड द सिटीजन एंड ऑफ द सिटीजन. द डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ राइट्स ऑफ मैन एंड सिटीजन, ऑफ द जरूरत नहीं, सिर्फ सिटीजन चलेगा, मैन एंड सिटीजन. The major outcome of the French Revolution was to encourage popular participation in politics and this resulted in a structural change in politics. मतलब popular participation पहली बार politics में हो रहा है, लोकप्रिय हिस्सेदारी हो रही है. इसने पूरे राजनीति की संरचना को, मतलब स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स को चेंज कर रहा है. It was enshrined with the idea of modern nationalism, which was based on popular sovereignty, and as a result, the unification of इटली एंड जर्मनी वॉज पॉसिबल. ये आगे की घटना है. इस पॉइंट से अब पॉइंट नंबर 3 से अब घबराना नहीं. जो नेक्स्ट मैंने आपको जो स्टडी मटेरियल दिया है उसमें ये बिंदु आपको, दिस पॉइंट वुड बी क्लैरिफाइड इन दिस स्टडी मटेरियल कि इसने है नेशनलिज्म को कैसे ये करेगा. देखो, नेशनलिज्म को जो फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन से नेशनलिज्म कैसे आया है, जस्ट 1 मिनट आई एम टेलिंग. देखो, देखो ऐसे आया, जैसे you have to observe, my friends, be mentally alert. जैसे in 18th century I have told you कि there was a concept of nation state, Treaty of Westphalia and rise of modern West. The rise of nation state I have already, you can say, I already imparted you, I have already taught you. But in nation state, king was the basis of this nation. This was the nation of the king, not the nation of the people. So it was not an example of a modern nationalism. Modern nationalism had to be created after the French Revolution alone. Because here you find that there is the king and this was the nation, but this nation was internally divided. Why? So this is aristocracy. Aristocracy is making the claim that we are special. Then clergy is also making the claim that we are special. So aristocracy was privileged, clergy was privileged, and these were the commoners, deprived of all sorts of the essential rights, you can say commoners. So actually it was a nation, but in nation state you find earlier than French Revolution, there was the king. King was the head of the nation. You may recall the statement of Louis XIV, I am the state, and some critic has put into his mouth, can my wish is law. He was living symbol of the nation, but this nation was internally divided among aristocracy, clergy and the common people. It was not consolidated. These were the subject people. And the subject people were divided. Now, my students, here after the French Revolution, you find the elected government, and that is citizen, because after the Declaration of Rights of Men and Citizen and the evolution of feudalism, all came on the common plank, no division, no privilege, no unprivileged section. So a common perception, that is citizen, not subject people. Earlier there were subject people, these are not subject people, they are citizen. मतलब इसमें जो पहला जो राष्ट्र होता था उसमें राजा किंग बोलता था कि मैं राष्ट्र हूं, किंग राष्ट्र को सिंबलाइज करते था, वो राजा का राष्ट्र था। लेकिन जो प्रजा थी उसकी डिवाइडेड थी, प्रिविलेज में विशेषाधिकार और विशेषाधिकार विहीन। कौन है तो एक कुलीन है, ये कौन है पादरी है, ये कौन है कॉमन पीपल है। अब सभी एक हो गया, ह्यूमन राइट्स का डिक्लेरेशन हुआ। और रूसो का जो जनरल विल का कॉन्सेप्ट है, वो जनरल विल ने कहा कि अब सॉवरेनिटी कॉमन पीपल में निवास करती है। सो इट वाज नाउ द नेशन ऑफ द पीपल, nation of the people. It was not the nation of the king, rather the nation of the people. So it was the after the rise of, after French Revolution, the so-called modern nationalism came into existence. तो पहले फ्रांस मॉडर्न नेशन हुआ। अब जब नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट अपना एक्सपेंशन यूरोप में करेगा तो नेपोलियन ने भी इन्फेक्शन लगा दिया नेशनलिज्म का, तो नेपोलियन के माध्यम से नेशनलिज्म यूरोप के अन्य क्षेत्रों में फैल गया। सो आई विल डिस्कस दिस एस्पेक्ट लेटर। सो माय स्टूडेंट्स, अब you may find here the difference between the old nation state and the modern nation state after French Revolution. Are you clear? Please give me the hint so that I can move further. Mr. Ankur, what is the condition? Please, my students, give me the hint. Be fast. Okay. Yes, बोलो।
My question is that so we can say that light of revolution burned Napoleon
Light of,
and burned.
yes, Bhavna, you have given a very apt remark. Light of revolution has burnt Napoleon himself. Yes, Bhavna, you have given the very apt remark. Commendable.
Rahul Bush that died and in
A tile tax was the tax I have just mentioned, Rahul. I have just mentioned in the first one point itself, whenever I have taught you earlier. Rahul, you are still on the basic. You are asking basic question. I've developed the critical aspect. Whenever you have gone through the NCERT book in class 9th, so already you find that what is the meaning of tithe. Tithe is in the NCERT from which you have taken the question. The answer is already there. Tithe is the religious tax which was imposed by clergy, and tithe was the tax, a state tax, which was imposed by the monarchy. So that is called tithe, and tithe for the clergy. So now just please, whenever you are making a study, so make the study seriously, and the same point try to find out.
those Bush, can we say that nationalism rise up?
Modern nationalism, Ashutosh, modern nationalism, and not rise after Napoleon. Modern nationalism appeared after French Revolution itself, and Napoleon became the unconscious catalyst behind a spirit of nationalism in Europe. Napoleon was not willing to spread nationalism in Europe.
Vinay Pushkar, can you please give a chart of differences between French and
One table. In what way? Who?
Vinay?
Vinay, chart in American and French. French Revolution.
Very good.
Yes.
The also question is Vienna Convention and Vienna Congress is same or different?
Same. Dipanshu, same. Vienna Congress, Vienna Convention is same.
Because question, what happened when Napoleon and Tsar declared war against England?
Prakash, what happened? Napoleon and Tsar declared war against Britain. In Britain, Tsar never participated in a war against Britain. Tsar remained neutral.
First question, sir, if Napoleon accept the role of directors, then why people didn't react in large way?
People was not so conscious. People was always, why are you not reacting against Modi's government? Because you people are fed on the idea of nationalism. Nationalism is just the opiate, you know. Nationalism was going to influence the common people. And Napoleon could give a heavy dose of nationalism. Who has asked this question? Vikas. Why you are wasting your mind on these trivial things कि पब्लिक ने क्यों नेपोलियन के अगेंस्ट में रिवोल्ट नहीं कर दिया, इस सब पर तुम दिमाग क्यों लगाते हो? दिमाग क्वेश्चन पर लगाओ ना.
राहुल पूछ रहे, did Napoleon reject the theory of Rousseau?
राहुल, चीजें उतनी ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट नहीं है जितना तुम पूछ रहे हो कि नेपोलियन रिजेक्ट द थियरी ऑफ रूसो. कवर्टली तो उसने किया, क्योंकि नेपोलियन स्टेटमेंट देता था कि इफ देयर वेयर नो रूसो नो रेवोल्यूशन. तो नेपोलियन रूसो से परेशान तो था, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है. और उसने रैदर मॉन्टेस्क्यू को, वॉल्टियर को अपना आइडियल मानता था, क्योंकि वो लिमिटेड मोनार्की चाहता था. मतलब वो ये नहीं चाहता था, नेपोलियन चाहता था कि इनलाइटेन मोनार्क चाहता था, लिमिटेड नहीं, इनलाइटेन मोनार्क चाहता था. नेपोलियन नहीं चाहता था कि हम डेमोक्रेसी को प्रश्रय दे. इन वन सेंस, इन बिहेवियर में कहोगे तो नेपोलियन ने रूसो को रिजेक्ट किया है, दैट इज करेक्ट.
How unconsciously Napoleon became a catalyst of modern nationalism?
Shivam, how unconsciously, here I have to. Shivam, I am just answering your question. You people are just paying attention to it. अब देखो, this is Europe, you know. Suppose this is Europe, or let me draw. अब ये देखो, this is France. This is France. This is Germany. This is Italy. This is Austria, that is the empire, etc. Actually, what happened? In this region, you know, Napoleon went in the different parts of Europe. Here I have to. So all the regions were equally divided. There was feudalism, there was the privilege of church, there was the common people. So Napoleon did some sort of surgical operation there. मतलब नेपोलियन ने जिन क्षेत्रों पर भी कब्जा किया. राहुल का क्वेश्चन है, किसका है? हाँ, राहुल. मतलब नेपोलियन जिस रीजन में गया वहां उसने ऑपरेशन कर दिया. वहां पर उसने क्लर्जी के पावर्स को एबोलिश कर दिया, मतलब चर्च को कंट्रोल कर दिया, और फ्यूडलिज्म को एबोलिश कर दिया नेपोलियन यूरोप में जहां जहां गया, और नेपोलियन कोड को लागू कर दिया. तो उससे क्या हुआ कि जो इंटरनल डिवीजन है उसको तो खत्म कर दिया नेपोलियन. तो इंटरनल डिवीजन को खत्म करने के बाद लोगों में एक होने की भावना आ गई. और नेपोलियन ने एक दूसरा काम किया कि नेपोलियन स्टार्टेड टू एक्सप्लॉइट द रीजन, सो पीपल रिएक्टेड. एंड for example, you can say in India, how did nationalism appear? You come to know it was anti-colonial movement, because when the colonial power was exploiting the region, so people reacted and it took the form of an anti-colonial nationalism. So the same happened in case of Europe. As Europe was exploiting the Europe, so European people reacted against Napoleon and it took the form of an anti-Napoleon movement. So it also gave a catalyst behind the rise of modern nationalism. So नेपोलियन का जो फैक्टर है वह भी राष्ट्रवाद को अनजाने ही प्रोत्साहन दे दिया. और मिस्टर अंकुर
पूछ रही है सर, हाउ अमेरिकन रेवोल्यूशन एंड फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन फॉर द rise of modern.
Yes, I have to deal with this question. Shruti, this question is already asked in UPSC examination. So I was likely to come to this question as well. But in the meantime, you people had make me engaged in answering the question. So I have just engage in your service. Whenever I will be free, I will deal with this question. I just put this question to you people, and I will prefer it is better you people should try to answer this question first, and then tomorrow I could have given the answer, so that could have been the better option. And if not, what you people will like, I will do.
Surikant question, sir, is the continental system is the only factor responsible for
कौन पूछ रहे हैं?
सूर्यकांत।
सूर्यकांत, मेरा एक रिक्वेस्ट है आप लोगों से कि आप लोग अगर बढ़िया करना चाहते हो तो थोड़ा क्रिटिकली आप अपने माइंड को अलर्ट रखो। ये कैसे आप कह सकते हो कि सिर्फ कॉन्टिनेंटल सिस्टम ही नेपोलियन के डिक्लाइन के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल था? जब मैं आपको पढ़ा रहा था तो मैं 3-4 फैक्टर्स वहां डील किया। बेसिक कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन इन हिज एम्पायर, फिर मैंने मिलिट्री कॉन्स्क्रिप्शन वाले पॉइंट को डील किया जो पॉइंट नंबर 2 था, फिर थर्ड में मैंने मास्को एक्सपेडिशन को डील किया, फोर्थ में मास्को एक्सपेडिशन को डील किया, थर्ड में मैंने एक और फैक्टर को आपको डील किया। तो मैंने तो वहां पर आपको 3-4 फैक्टर्स बताए हैं। तो फिर आप ये क्वेश्चन क्यों पूछ रहे हो कि सिर्फ मॉस्को एक्सपेडिशन नेपोलियन के डिक्लाइन के रिस्पॉन्सिबल था? तो प्लीज माय स्टूडेंट्स, आई एम रिक्वेस्टिंग कि डोंट क्रिएट द क्वेश्चन सिंपली फॉर आस्किंग द क्वेश्चन, बी इक्वली मेंटली अलर्ट। क्योंकि मैं अकेले ट्राई करता रह जाऊंगा, लेकिन आप क्रिटिकल थिंकर नहीं हो पाओगे जब तक आप मेंटली अलर्ट नहीं रहोगे। इसलिए मैं आप लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि मैं 80 मिनट्स आपका क्लास लेता हूं। उस 80 मिनट्स में आप लोग अपने माइंड को बिल्कुल ही कॉन्शियस रखो कि मैं क्या बोल रहा हूं, और पेन पेपर लेके बैठो। In spite of the fact that I am providing you the study material in advance, but you people are requested to take the pen paper in your hand, and in the very attentive manner you have to attend the lecture, and very conscious manner, and essential points should be jotted down in the copy so that you should not miss the bus.
Jatin Karan sir, do we need ideological changes in parts of socialism in today's demand of change?
I don't understand this question, Mr. Ankur.
Jatin पूछ रहे हैं।
Jatin, Mr. Jatin is asking a question.
Do we need ideological changes in parts of socialism in today's demand of change?
Jatin, you have gone too far. I am just in early 19th century. I have to move gradually, and if you, Jatin, if you are having the thirst for knowledge of socialism and Marxism, I will make you crystal clear, but please allow me whenever I will deal with this topic. Let this time come. Please don't beat about the bush. मैंने आप सभी से रिक्वेस्ट किया, आप कोई सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर पर क्वेश्चन पूछने लगोगे, कोई मार्क्सिज्म पर पूछने लगोगे, तब तो टोटली एनार्की हो जाएगी, फिर तुम्हारा टाइम वेस्ट होगा। मेरे पास 80 मिनट्स होता है केवल। ओके, तो प्लीज क्वेश्चन आगे का मत पूछिए। आई एम हेयर टू मेक यू क्लियर। मैं खुद ही रुक के पूछ लेता हूं कि ये क्वेश्चन क्लियर है, वो क्वेश्चन क्लियर नहीं है, तो आपके लिए टाइम बहुत वैल्यूबल है। आई एम सिंपली एलोकेटेड 80 मिनट्स फॉर यू एंड 80 मिनट्स फॉर हिंदी मीडियम। आई एम गिविंग द टाइम साइमल्टेनियसली, साइड बाय साइड। सो माय स्टूडेंट्स, आई एम रिक्वेस्टिंग यू पीपल कि मेक द प्रोडक्टिव यूज ऑफ मी। I will give you a lot of critical ideas. I will develop your writing, and you people have to be conscious and follow me, please. जो essential चीजें मैं खुद ही पूछ लूंगा आपसे। Revolution gave impetus to ideas like republicanism and democracy. अब रिपब्लिकन आइडियाज मन इलेक्टेड, रिपब्लिकन डेमोक्रेसी, और कोई पूछे कि भाई डेमोक्रेसी और रिपब्लिकनिज्म में क्या अंतर है, तो डेमोक्रेसी में हेड ऑफ जो गवर्नमेंट है वो इलेक्टेड हो, ये कोई कंपलसरी नहीं है। लेकिन रिपब्लिकन, अगर कोई रिपब्लिक है तो हेड ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट शुड बी इलेक्टेड। फॉर एग्जांपल, ब्रिटेन इज नॉट अ रिपब्लिक, इट इज डेमोक्रेसी, बट फ्रांस इज रिपब्लिक, यूएस इज रिपब्लिक, इंडिया इज रिपब्लिक, बिकॉज देयर यू फाइंड द इलेक्टेड प्रेसिडेंट. So France was democracy and republic both. So it gave support to the idea of republicanism and democracy both. During the reign of Jacobean, concepts like socialism or socialist ideas also thrived. Here the socialist and social ideas also thrived. So मतलब socialist ideas को भी encouragement मिला. Furthermore, it produced its impact on the liberation movement in Latin America during the early decades of the 19th century. I will discuss in the next one chapter. The French Revolution had to prove a major catalyst behind the popular movement in Latin America, the nationalist movement in Latin America as well under Simon Bolivar. I will discuss this aspect with you. and then it also left an imprint on Asian continent. इसने एशियन कॉन्टिनेंट पर भी अपना इंपैक्ट छोड़ा है. For example, the nationalists like Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Tipu Sultan in India were also influenced by the ideas of the French Revolution. टीपू सुल्तान और राजा राम मोहन राय पर भी इसका लेगेसी है. तो ये 7 पॉइंट्स मैंने दिया है, आप इसमें 5 पॉइंट्स भी अगर आवश्यकता हो लिख दोगे तो चलेगा. लिमिटेशंस ऑफ द फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन. हम देखो फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का लिमिटेशंस भी है. The revolution professed the noble ideas of liberty, equality and fraternity, while it was far away from its implementation because it preferred limited franchise in place of universal adult suffrage. पर इतनी भी बातें की, लेकिन it didn't introduce the universal adult suffrage. In Rousseau talks about the general will. But in spite of assimilating the ideas of Rousseau, limited franchise were introduced. In spite of liberty, equality, and fraternity, this liberty, equality, and fraternity, this liberty meant only for a handful of people. Second one, the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of Citizen came into existence on August 26, 1789, in which females were excluded. In fact, the universal adult suffrage was acknowledged in the year 1946. अब आप कहते हो the rights of man and citizen. Why सिर्फ only man? Olympa the Guj, you are recalling, she made a point of objection. Why only man? Why not women? So women were excluded, and in France, women got the franchise in 1946, just 4 years earlier than India. India has already provided franchise to women on the basis of the Constitution of 1950, and France got only in 1946. The French Revolution remained unanswered to the question of relation between the middle class and the lower class, which was later answered by the Russian Revolution. मतलब कि फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन जो है वह एक क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व नहीं किया था. मैंने शुरू में ही बताया था कि मिडिल क्लास और लोअर क्लास में क्या रिलेशनशिप होगा, उसका वो क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं कर सका फ्रांस की क्रांति, क्योंकि लोअर क्लास को तो अंत में डिप्राइव कर दिया गया, उसको चीट कर दिया गया, उसको थ्रो आउट कर दिया गया. तो अंत में रशियन रेवोल्यूशन इसका रिप्लाई देगा. तो ये 1, 2, 3 ये 3 लिमिटेशंस है. क्वेश्चन, फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन फेल टू अचीव व्हाट इट इंटेंडेड टू अचीव, डू यू एग्री? मैं स्टूडेंट्स मैंने एक क्वेश्चन तो रख दिया है, इस क्वेश्चन के साथ जस्टिस तभी हो पाएगा, बल्कि अंकुर इस क्वेश्चन को काट के बाद में मिला देना तुम. Hello, Mr. Ankur. This question you have to take, and after finishing the next one topic, then I will deal with this question. Because ये question यहाँ तो लग गया है, लेकिन ये पूरे 19th century का evaluation है, और वो तभी आप कर पाओगे जब अगला टॉपिक आप पढ़ लोगे, तब आप इसका evaluation कर पाओगे. तो मैं इसको रोक के रखता हूं और आगे मैं इसको डिस्कस करूंगा. क्वेश्चन, द फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन चेंज फ्रांस एज वेल एज यूरोप. तो ये तो दिया हुआ, ये तो बेसिकली आप हाइपोथेटिकल क्वेश्चन है जो मैंने लिख कर दिया है. कहीं अगर आपको प्रॉब्लम हो, बिल्कुल ही क्लियर कट लिखा हुआ है, आप इसको पढ़े होगे या पढ़ लेना. कहीं प्रॉब्लम हो तो आप मुझे बता देना. फूड फॉर थॉट, लिखना नहीं सोचना है. फूड फॉर थॉट. व्हाई डिड द फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन प्रूव टू बी मोर रेडिकल देन द अमेरिकन रेवोल्यूशन? काश आप लोग जवाब देते मुझे. आप इसको प्रिपेयर करके आना, मैं कल मैं 1 by 1 पूछूंगा. अंकुर कल इसको लगा देना आप. चार्ट पूछ रहा है बच्चा क्या? चार्ट, यस. मैं डाइवर्ट हो गया, मैं देखता हूं अभी. व्हाट वर द रीजंस फॉर द डोमिनेंस ऑफ द लोअर क्लास इन द मिड्स ऑफ द फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन? लोअर क्लास का डोमिनेंस का क्या कारण था? डिस्पाइट ऑल द एफर्ट्स, व्हाई डिड द लोअर क्लास फेल टू एस्टेब्लिश इट्स सुप्रीमेसी ओवर द रेवोल्यूशन? मतलब हर कुछ के बावजूद लोअर क्लास रेवोल्यूशन पर सुप्रीमेसी क्यों नहीं बना सका? थर्ड, why did the French Revolution take the form of the European Revolution and what impact did it have on Europe? मतलब why did the French Revolution take the form of the European Revolution? ये यूरोपियन रेवोल्यूशन क्यों बन गया और इसने यूरोप को what impact इसने यूरोप पर छोड़ा? और did Napoleon Bonaparte act as a harbinger of revolution or as a destroyer? तो देखो ये 5 क्वेश्चंस को यू पीपल विल रिप्लाई टुमारो. दिस इज अ होमवर्क फॉर यू, दिस इज नॉट फॉर राइटिंग. हाँ, तुम अपनी सुविधा से एक पेज पर 2-2, 3-3 पॉइंट बना कर रेडी रहना. मैं क्लास में आऊंगा, फटाफट मिस्टर अंकुर को टाइप करके आप देना. यस, दिस वन. this one, and मैं one by one question पूछता चलूंगा, 5 questions, okay? And Mr. Ankur, one question in 2019, have you searched this question?
Yes.
So give me the question. स्मृति एक क्वेश्चन पूछी भी है हमसे.
Explain how the foundation.
हाँ, just write this question. Explain
How the foundations of
the foundations of
the modern world
foundations of the modern world
were laid by
were led by
the American and French Revolution.
by the
The
American
and French Revolution.
and French revolutions. ये 250 वर्ड्स का होगा. ये 250 वर्ड्स का है. सर्टेन क्वेश्चंस दे आर आस्किंग 250 वर्ड्स एंड यूपीएससी 2019. I'll read this question, and my students, please give me the hint कि whether you will solve this question, you will try this question. Should I discuss this question tomorrow? My students, please give me the hint.
Yes, sir.
Will they try? Yes, that is your homework for you. One question and five food for thought. That is homework for you. My students, do hard work. I always believe in hard work. The teachers should do the hard work, and along with teacher, the students should do the hard work. And a time will come, you will get the sure shot success in the examination. So please, this is your formatting phase for you. Jatin, I was just drawing a chart for American and French Revolution. You have just inquired from me. So I'll discuss this aspect tomorrow, because today the time is already over and it will take at least 5 minutes. So that's why today I will give you some extra homework. अब देखो, what is homework? Homework is the major issues of world history Europe between 1850 to 1805. This is the one diagram, you know. So here you have to deal with the Congress of Vienna, and tomorrow forces of continuity established by the Congress of Vienna and the focus of changes. So initially you have to economic forces, revolts of 1820s. So you have to make a study at least up to this point, material economic forces. On 1820s, the revolution of 1820 and revolution of 1830s, you have to read up to this point. I'll deal with this topic tomorrow. So my friends, up now you have asked me the American and French Revolution. So nothing else in American Revolution, you know, the role of the middle class just you find in French Revolution, but in French Revolution the role of lower class. The main difference in the American Revolution and the French Revolution is in their approach of constitution. Both were having the different approaches to the constitution. American Revolution was not inspired the Rousseau's idea of general will, and in popular movement didn't influence the course of American Revolution. Then in American Revolution, you can say federal system. In France, unitary system of government. There the elected government both was the common. The rights of men and citizen were, you can say, in American Revolution and French Revolution, in the rights of men were emphasized, in both were the common. Representative government in the both. But radically you can say that French Revolution is the more radical impact, because due to the role of the lower class. So I'll discuss this aspect with you tomorrow. So my students, I am stopping here. आई होप कि अप टू दिस पॉइंट आर यू क्लियर। आई हैव गिवन यू सम होमवर्क, मतलब मैंने आप लोगों को जो टास्क दिया है, आप लोग बड़ी ईमानदारी से टास्क निभाना, कर फिर मिलते हैं। ओके आज, ओके, गुड नाइट, थैंक यू वेरी मच।